Hello, everyone, and welcome to Own Your Wellness, where we explore the cutting edge of health and healing, as well as mindset, anything that's going to make your life just a little bit better. I'm Julianne Meyer, your host today, and boy, are you guys in for a special treat. Joining us is Dr. Tom Ingegno. He's been here before, so you may remember him, but he's up to some more amazing things. And he's a pioneer in the field of acupuncture and Chinese medicine. Dr. Tom is the mastermind behind Charm City Integrative Health. And this clinic is a place where wisdom of ancient healing arts and the innovation of modern science converge to create something truly unique and amazing. Dr. Tom is also the author of the cupping book, Unlocking the Secrets of Ancient Healing. It's a guide that empowers readers to embrace the benefits of cupping therapy from the comfort of your home. How exciting is that? Well, with over 23 years of clinical experience, his contributions to the field extend beyond patient care. He's educated future practitioners as a faculty member at 2 universities of East Asian medicine, chaired the Maryland Board of Acupuncture, and led acupuncture services for a wellness chain throughout the Mid-Atlantic. Beyond his clinical and educational roles, Dr. Tom has made his mark in the media, offering insights that blend modern research with time-honored traditions, all delivered with a sense of humor that makes complex health concepts relatable and easier to understand. His professional passion is simple yet profound: to help individuals and help practitioners develop clear, effective practices for thriving health. So without further ado, Dr. Tom Ingegno to Own Your Wellness, and let's welcome him and deliver to you guys a conversation about transforming health. Woo! How exciting is that?
That was the best introduction I think I've ever had. I was like, who's this guy? Who's she having on?
Like, wait, me?
Me?
And I cut it down. You really are an amazing soul. And it was funny when we connected again because you said something to the effect of like, do you remember me? And I thought, duh, I stalk you on Instagram.
Oh, God. And our Instagram, like our social media, I have an amazing, amazing person that helps me with everything on the web. And the one thing that she like keeps yelling at me for is like, you guys don't post, your content. She's not local. So she keeps going, no, take photos of the staff, do things. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. Like, we don't have time. I'm too busy.
But I'm too busy helping people.
Well, yeah, it's funny because a lot of this, and it's not thankless. I definitely feel the love from the community and the patients that come in, but like you're kind of caught up in it, right? I'm self-employed for all intents and purposes, and I have a CV that I look at and I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like why am I tracking this stuff? Oh, that's right, to remember that you actually did the thing. You keep forgetting.
Well, for those that are watching, your bio, like the things that you have accomplished, I mean, it's just like a laundry list, like that's so long of all the education and learning. And I mean, it's just absolutely impressive. It's a little intimidating to a layman such as myself. if you weren't so fun.
Well, you know, I think that's the one thing. Like, the reason I do this stuff, I'm still trying to figure out the purpose, right? You know, I think we go through this whole life, and maybe that's the whole point, is like figuring out the purpose of what you're supposed to do. But certainly within it, there's this drive that I don't see a lot of it as work, right? And the guy that founded TED Talks, Richard Saul Wesserman, says you remember what you love, right? You learn what you like. So, you know, you spend your whole life, you go through all the classes, you get your degree. And like, I was fortunate enough, my grad school was acupuncture and East Asian medicine. And I loved all that. And it was the first time I was actually in school and enjoyed it, you know, like, oh no, this is great. And then when you get out and you have the freedom to go like, well, where do I want to go? One, it's overwhelming. Like you oh my God, all of this. Two, when you start to figure out like, oh, well, this plays nicely with that, and I enjoy this and I enjoy that, you start putting things together in a way that makes it unique to you. And I think after 23 years in the field of East Asian medicine, I'm just now starting to see how big it is, right? You know, you get out of school and you're taught this, right? Why? Because you're in school for a finite time and you can't cram thousands of years of knowledge in. You know, in my case, not all of that is even in English. So I don't even have access to a lot of it. But each year that I'm in more and you start looking around more and you go, oh my God, this is bigger than I thought it was. It's bigger than I thought it was. And at some point you just go, look, I'm just floating around here in this universe, and it's picking up what I enjoy, which is great. It's a great place to be.
It's something that I really love about what you said, and is that, you know, you're still finding your purpose in a way. And I think that is so important to really highlight, because there's this thing that's out there, especially, well, in the United States. I don't really feel like that in other countries, but it's like you have to pick something and you have to stick with it because that's what you chose when you were 16 or
you know, it's so true. It's so true. So you know, we moved to Maryland. I'm originally from Long Island, New York. And when we moved here, you know, my kid is now going into high school, and she had to apply to these magnet programs. These magnet programs have areas of specialty, right? And it's like, oh, here's health sciences, here's, you know, music, here's this, here's that. And I go, God, I got to college, I had no idea what the hell was going on. Now you're asking a 13-year-old, and even the my middle school child applied to a magnet school program. And it's like, well, do you want to go to this advanced placement one? Do you want to go to this music one? Do you want to go to this science one? And it's like, she's 10. She's 10. How about we just have a happy, productive member of society and leave it at that? You know, like, give her some time. You know, why are we rushing this?
Yeah, I really love that because, you know, it's like, let a kid be a kid. I don't know, but I remember when and there's like benefits and negative things to absolutely every time, and, you know, in history. But it's like, I was pre-cell phone. I was like, you went to school. You were there to like learn a bunch of different subjects and figure it out. Like, maybe when you get to college, then maybe you pick something, but like 10, you gotta be kidding me.
It's crazy because, like, you know, if everything went right, there would be an MD after my name, according to my, you know, my family and what was supposed to happen. Right. And God, if that MD was here, if that was there, I'd be miserable right now.
Exactly.
You know, so yeah, things work out. And, you know, I hate to say it, and I'm not discouraging, or I'm not encouraging derelict behavior, but I would have screwed around a lot more had I known then what I know now. Oh, you're going to end up where you're supposed to be. Okay. Like, I would have taken a little stress off, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's funny too, because if things were supposed to go the way they were supposed to be, I'd be working in a pharmacy right now. Yeah. Miserable, making money, but miserable.
It's so funny when people say that. They're like, oh, you do really well. And I'm like, look, I'm surviving. I could have gone a different route and probably made more money. I know plenty of people that I don't think work as hard as me that have plenty of money, but I'm I'm blessed doing what I do, and to be able to help people. There's something there that is hard to put into words. But to be appreciated is a great thing.
It really is. And, something that I really like about this book that you recently wrote, the cupping book, is that you want people to be able to help themselves. I think
Yeah.
that is, don't get me wrong. And I'm not ever going to bash any sort of healthcare professional or anything, but take a chiropractor, for example. There's different kinds, and obviously, but if I have to go to you in order to feel okay, I don't feel like you're actually really helping me.
It's rough because, certainly I don't want anyone to try and crack their neck at home. I do.
No, definitely not.
Don't do it. Do as I say, not as I do. But you know what I'm saying there, and certainly I don't want anyone who's not an acupuncturist picking up a needle ever.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
There's so many things, and I think this is kind of where I mentioned finding my purpose, right? We talk so much about well care and self care and all these buzzwords, the hashtags that go around. And really, when we look at that, we have to look back at the traditional practices that we kind of left, by the wayside. Cupping, and the reason this was the book that I was like, let's start here. One, I had enough knowledge about it already. I've been doing it for years and years in clinic. Two, this is affectionately referred to as grandma medicine. Right. So I was teaching, you mentioned I taught at two schools, Pacific College of Oriental Medicine. Now it's called something different. Downtown Manhattan, we had a lot of international students. And literally every one of them, didn't matter country of origin, what continent it was on. Grandma used to do that. Why? Because grandma knew it worked. We don't argue with grandma. Right? And now to say that, yes, we have giant studies backing, yes, neck and shoulder pain, low back pain, definitively. And some of these other traditional uses, digestive disorders, respiratory disorders, we have good clinical evidence on. We need some studies to back those up. But we're most likely not going to hurt you. We're most likely only going to be able to help. And it's safe enough and easy enough to do at home. So why not return that, right? Doctor, right? We use this term and people don't even believe my doctor. It's real. It is. But within that, doctor means to teach, docere, right? So part of the thing we should be doing is educating people how not to need us. Exactly. It doesn't make sense from a business standpoint, but the more and more we can empower people, the better their lives are. And one of the classics, that we love to misquote all the time in Chinese medicine says acupuncture is the expression of humanity. Right? So when we look at that and say, healthcare as a whole should be an expression of humanity, how is that interaction between the doctor and the patient, between the practitioner and the patient, between the patient and society, between the patient and their family? And this humanity is a very interesting term, because to get to that, we actually have to care about each other. We have to develop a community. And to do that, the best way is to make sure that you're taking care of those people around you. And that means you have to do more home care and more work on yourself. So why not do something like cupping, where you can have that power in your hands? And now that we've removed the fire from it, we do fire cupping at the office. That was the traditional way of doing it all around the globe. Now we have silicone tools, pump tools, all these things that make it so super simple that in an afternoon you pick up my book, you get some cups, and you're good to go.
Yeah. I love that. The thing that I like about you is that it is about, and what I said before about not needing people, yeah, I'm with you. Don't crack your neck at home. Don't think that you can do what a chiropractor does, or even acupuncture. And no, that's not what I'm getting at. But in order for I want to be as empowered as possible. If I'm going to go see a doctor in Western medicine, I probably have a broken bone. I'm not going to set it myself.
There's something beyond what you can handle on your own, right?
Yes, exactly.
This is the time. It's like when you're a new parent, you start calling. Oh my God, my kid's sneezing, and the pediatrician's like, go to bed. Like, what are you worried about? This will be okay. And you're like, no, everything's on fire. I need help. And like, we do that with ourselves too, where it's
Yeah.
like, we'll either ignore it, and men are probably a little bit more guilty of this, and I'm not trying to play the sex gender role thing here, but or we'll be limping along going, I'll just deal with it. Or we're rushing like a hypochondriac, every little cough, every little sneeze, every little bump, bruise. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I'm injured. No. This is your body fixing itself, and maybe we can help ourselves at home. So really, give people the power to take care of themselves. And then not only is your patient basis, for me, healthier, right? When they come to me, I know they actually like really need something.
Exactly. Yeah. And, I think too, people like yourself and myself, it's like, we're here to make an impact and genuinely help people. Like, I don't want anybody buying my book or my coaching programs and not using it or reading it, or I can make money. Like, that's not what the point is. The point is to genuinely help other people, help others, and care about them.
We have a membership at our office, right? And at one point somebody said, oh, so it's like a gym model. And it's like, no. I don't want 1,000 people that come in and never use it, right? I don't want to see people that first week of January and then they just forget to cancel. I want people that are genuinely interested in doing something for their health. A lot of the services that we include in that membership are pretty much push button, or, hey, you've been here before, go ahead, do your thing, and we'll see you in 20 minutes. And that membership, I want people to actively improve their lives with. And I think, after we've been in this office since 2016, this is that brand, Charm City Integrative. I think people in Baltimore are really getting it now. We're getting more people in than we've ever had. People are telling other people, without having to do too much. People are asking us for, interviews and things like that. So it's a pretty nice place to be in when you're finally accepted by the community you're in, and they see that you're genuine in what you're trying to do.
Exactly, genuine, and it's not a money grab. And now, I'm not saying that we all don't deserve tons of cash and money. I'm not saying that.
Well, I'm not trying to be poor, but I also don't want to, make all my money off of one or two people.
Exactly. Or even just like you said, like that gym model membership. Like I'm not interested in creating income off of somebody who forgot to cancel.
It doesn't feel as clean.
No, it really doesn't. I actually, I can't remember who it was. I probably shouldn't call them out anyway, but I remember saying or hearing from actually more than one business coach about using the subscription model because you could get more money out of people because they forget to cancel. And I just thought, wow, that's really messed up.
It doesn't feel clean, right? And I think when people are really of service, we'll mess up. I'll accidentally bill somebody that wanted to cancel or something, but you give the money back. You don't. The whole goal is to really like go above and beyond, not because you need to feel like you're going above and beyond, but because you want people to know that you're there and you care, and that's the main driving force with all this. And hopefully all the other good stuff comes because of that.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that a lot of people forget about big picture anyway, I don't know about you, but if somebody's not going to refund me for whatever reason, what are the odds that I'm going to suggest or recommend them to anybody else ever again?
And even beyond the financial component of it, like, was I taken care of there? Was I not? Did I have a weird experience? Right. And it's funny when I interact with friends or somebody like that, and they'll go, well, I had a weird experience at this place, and it doesn't have to be horrible, but it's enough to make me go, I'm not going to support them. I'm not going to go there if like the meal took a little longer and the guy looked at me a little weird, and it's like, I can't even, did anything happen? Is the guy just weird looking? You don't know, but then it flavors the experience for you, and you're and surely over 23 years I've screwed up plenty, but genuinely my heart and head are normally in the right place. So we try. I mean, that's the best we can all do, but hopefully I'll be granted some grace there for the people I've messed up with.
We are still human.
Yes.
This is how it is. Anyway, we do need to go to a commercial break. So when we come back, everyone, we're going to talk about cupping. What is it? What are some preconceived notions? Can you do this at home? Why is this such a mystery to us Americans? We'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. If you're just joining us now, I'm Julianne Meyer. You're watching Own Your Wellness, and today's awesome, amazing guest is Dr. Tom Ingegno. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you.
So before we went to the commercial break, we, I posed a couple of questions, and I'd really like to talk about cupping because, you wrote this book, and for those of you at home, it's easy to read, easy to understand, and it's got like pictures, which I love because I am a visual person. I'm like, let me see. So why don't you tell us about, first of all, the inspiration behind it? Like, was this something that was missing in the marketplace, or like you just felt, what's the story?
Yeah. So a bunch of things I think came together, and full on honesty here, right? So it started in 2020. We went into lockdown, and I said, wow, it's really hard to put needles in people via Zoom. So how are we going to use what I know and what I've learned to still help people, knowing that, like, I'm probably not going to open the clinic tomorrow. So while we were sitting there, I started scrapping out some ideas and, wrote a bunch of little crazy things on a bunch of different intakes, on ideas just down in some different areas. I shouldn't say intakes, but within, like, let's get started with a bunch of things. And cupping came back time and time again because it was so user friendly. A lot of the tools, when we go through in each category there, we give pictures of the main categories of different types of cups. And if you go to an Asian market, a big enough one here, H Mart is a big brand name chain one. But if you were to do that in any country in Asia, you would find cupping kits sitting in the health aisle, you know, where you'd find other things like maybe your shampoos and back scrubbers and things like that. And they're ready to go. And because it's so commonplace there, you pick up the kit, you go home, you do cupping on your family. And it's not that it's a difficult thing for Westerners to understand. It's just something a lot of people do not have experience with it. Mm-hmm. So if you're not experienced with it and it looks foreign to you, it's foreign. But with a little bit of knowledge and understanding that the other reason I wrote this was because it's literally everybody's history, right? Mm. So the Chinese started writing about it in about 300, 350 AD. And a physician said, hey, look, you know, we consider this home medicine and it's beneath the physicians, but we should really be using this in clinics, so it's so good. So they knew about that before 300 AD. But, you know, it was considered, oh, this is just something folk medicine. People do it at home. Now, we have things going back to the Ebers Papyrus, 1515 BC in Egypt. And the Egyptians knew about this, right? And this was probably the earliest writing we have. We're not exactly sure where it came from. Hippocrates talked about it. So it had different continents, different countries all over it. And I mentioned, you know, all my students. One of the great things to hear was how their grandmother did it or how it's done in their home country. So when they were using fire in Italy, a lot of people would put down a big coin with a little alcohol-soaked piece of cotton, light that, and then put the cup on top, right? And then in Syria, they'd roll up a piece of newspaper and they'd have longer cups and they'd throw the lit end in the back so it would never touch you. But now, literally, cupping is as easy, and I have some supplies over in the corner. This is a silicone cup, right? Hopefully it'll stick to my hand. But all we have to do is literally press it out, and we get the suction. Yeah. So we've made it that simple. We've taken the fire out of it. You're not going to burn your house down. We're not going to go too strong with these kind of cups. Yeah. Why not do that? Why not give you a technique that's safe and easy to do at home? And yeah, if you're doing your back, your shoulders, your neck, you might need somebody to help you out. But God, I taught my kids how to do it. My 10-year-old was doing this as early as 4 or 5. I mean, you know, and it was mainly because my wife was busy wrangling the other one, you know. So, all right, while you're here, just press that there for me.
I love it.
Like it's so easy, so simple, and it's tied to so many cultures. I write in the book, you know, Zorba the Greek was a movie that came out in the 60s, and there was a cupping scene in there. The Godfather Part 2, there's a cupping scene in there. You know, so granted, now we're talking Mediterranean, but it was all over the place. Something that set me on a deep dive and made my acupuncture supplier have to search for me. Buffalo horns were one of the traditional ways of doing this. And I sent him a photo, 2 photos, 2 Sudanese sheep herders doing cupping on each other using buffalo horns. And then one guy in Thailand with a whole bunch of buffalo horns down his back. And I called and I said, this looks so metal. Can you please get me these cups? And now those are fire. Don't use those at home. There's plenty of safer methods. But it was something that was like so cool to me. And look, here's 2 different countries, different continents that came to the same conclusion. Look, we can use these things. Mm-hmm. So it's so nice to see it time and time and again across borders, across boundaries, and something that really deserves to be in people's hands and used because it's traditional medicine.
Yeah. You know, the thing that I think is missing from a Western society is, and you know this, but I've lived in other countries and it's definitely different depending on where you are. Like the culture about health is definitely different. And I think that we forget, you know, a lot of the stuff that we are sort of taught comes from a place of how much money can I make?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's not a ton of cash in cupping, but you know what? Pharmaceuticals, that works.
That works pretty well. Yeah. Well, and I think that may be some of, and I'm not going like, oh, big scary corporations right now, even though I'll do it any other time. But within that, that's exactly it. There is no, big monetization here, right?
No, there really
So,
isn't.
the markup on the cups can only be so much. The book is only worth so much. I mean, and the information is out there, right? So the best thing a pharmaceutical company can do, a big, healthcare system could do is say like, oh, that's all garbage, rather than promote it. Because God forbid you didn't need my painkillers. God forbid you didn't need the $4,000, $5,000 MRI. And look, you're always going to need the MRI for something. I'm not saying you won't need drugs or things like that, but that should not be our first reach. That should not be the thing that we immediately go to, right? There's so many steps before that, right?
Yeah.
If you're hit by a bus, yes, go to the hospital. Hopefully somebody is taking you in an ambulance.
Exactly.
But with stuff that's like the normal creaks and the aches and the little things where you're not even sure whether you should go to the doctor, that's your warning light. That's your check engine light.
Yeah.
And you can do some stuff at home.
Yeah, you don't have to wait until it's
falling
so bad.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, when the engine falls out the bottom of your car, that's not the time to take it to the mechanic.
Yeah, you're already past that. Yeah, that's right to the junkyard,
Yeah, change your oil when the light comes on.
Yeah.
No, I'm 100% with you. I never want to put down Western medicine because it definitely has its place, but I just think that we're so taught that that's the only way, the best way. And we don't really realize that that's just because that's what we've always been told. It's kind of like, the food pyramid. Well, who paid for that? The dairy industry. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, what do you expect? There.
Yeah. And there's also, and I feel like I want to address this, and not that you brought it up, but like I'm a large middle-aged straight white male in East Asian medicine, right? And there's this idea that there's certain people that are like, you shouldn't be doing any of that. And when I was trained, when I was taught, one of the things that came through was like, you gotta hold this in the highest regard. You have to present it in the right way. You have to, the expression in Chinese is when you drink water, remember the source, right? So I have, and the reason I went with this one was because of that rich history, right? Shared history. We all have that. Yeah. Why not bring that to the forefront? Why not do it justice? Why not give it the credit it deserves, right? So, we can hop on PubMed and I can pull up studies from the last few years that showed like, yes, this definitively works. And I believe, and this may be where I'm steering soon, is that there's thousands of these traditional practices that even if it's all placebo, they still have value because somebody is going to feel better from them. And if you can't get hurt, or if the risk is very low and the reward is just, maybe you just feel a little bit better. Why not? Why not?
Yeah. And I think too about like acupuncture, because there's people like, oh, it doesn't work. I'm like, it works on horses.
Well, I get a little bit meaner these days, and I go, look, just so you know, you go to the PT at the drop of a hat. Yeah. We have more studies than the PTs and the chiropractors put together.
Wow.
And most of these studies were done to disprove acupuncture, and it did quite the opposite. The other thing that upsets them is standard of care studies, right? So they'll compare acupuncture to whatever the standard of care is, say, for headaches, right? And they'll say, oh, this outperforms NSAIDs. And you go, well, oh, look, it outperforms painkillers. Well, that's kind of interesting.
Yep.
And, oh, well, it's all like, chi and mystical BS. And it's like, no, chi was a term to describe a cascade of physiological responses. They don't like when you say that either. And they don't like when you list those responses. Hey, regulation of the autonomic nervous system. You start listing things like, increased circulation, reduced inflammation, right? During COVID, we already mentioned that once, we had all these studies coming out from China showing that it disrupted the cytokine inflammatory storm. And it's like, well, yeah, we knew that for thousands of years. We we certainly didn't really need a giant plague to, to help solidify that for us. But okay.
Yeah, thanks. You know,
Could have done without that.
Exactly. Well, the thing too that I really love about, and you bringing up that during COVID is kind of like where the idea of the book came from. I love it. You're still sitting there thinking, okay, well, how can I help? It was never a blessing that there's this huge plague, as you put it. But what are you going to do? Because this is what it is right now. What are you going to do? And I just love that so many good things came out of it. Like, okay, well, I could still help people. I can still make money. I can still, support my family. And it's like, or even like for personal trainers, a lot of people do it on Zoom now. They never did that before.
Yeah,
like,
and just the option to do it, right?
Yeah,
just how we interact with people. And we're seeing it now where like people are going like, oh, we can talk about a 4-day work week. Why?
Yeah.
Well, we didn't really get hurt too bad, not being open all the time during COVID or things like that, remote work, right? So there's different ways that we can interact with each other. And this just seemed like another one. And certainly when we reopened our clinic, it got busy again, knock on wood. I'm not upset about that. Yeah. And the book got tabled for a little bit because, hey, you got to go back to work in a post-COVID environment. Now you're cleaning more. Now you're sterilizing everything every day. Now there's different procedures. You have to limit how many people come in. So you're actually at the office more because you can't have that many people in the office at once. And all of those things kind of backburnered this. And then it was like, well, come on, man, you wrote the book. You got to take some photos. You got to get somebody to help you with layout and cross the finish line. Yeah. And, that's what happened. What was it? January 17th. I believe 2024 is when it finally came to be. So I'm proud of this one. It's not meant to be War and Peace in volume or an impact, but it's meant to be very practical and hands-on.
And I like that it's not War and Peace. Like for those of you at home, look, this is not a hard read. There's so much value. It doesn't have to be like an entire textbook. To be honest, I probably wouldn't have read it if it was.
Yeah. And looking at the market, looking what else was out there. Yeah. I did my research. I looked at about 5 or 6 different books on Amazon that were all about cupping. Most of them were written for a healthcare practitioner.
Exactly.
And that's not bad, but like, are you going to sit there and read a textbook? And it's dry. It's not that nothing was wrong that they said. Everything was factually correct. But, very much cupping is horseshoes and hand grenades. That's a weird expression to use, but I don't have to be exact. I don't need to know the name of the muscle group I'm on. You say, oh, it hurts here. Okay, well, what's in that area? Let's work on that. And there's some freedom in that,
Yeah. No, I love that. I think that is, you can't hurt yourself. That's the thing. You can't hurt yourself.
You can overdo anything, but it's harder with this technique. So yeah, there's some
definitely
caveats, but yeah, it's very safe.
Yeah, that is definitely a good point. I mean, you can actually die from drinking too much water. So, I mean,
you're not dying from cupping, but you could give yourself some blisters if you overdo it. I've only seen it twice in 23 years of clinical experience. So, the likelihood of it happening is very small. And all you do is you cover up those blisters and wait for them to heal.
Well, the thing that I love about this is that for somebody like me, and I know that a lot of people aren't as necessarily self-aware, but I have serious chemical sensitivities. So when I take, a Tylenol or an aspirin or something, it affects me more so than other people. And, so I'm more aware of if I'm going to add this in, am I prepared?
For the outcome,
the side effects, am I prepared? And I know it sounds kind of silly to people like, I take it all the time, but like, let's take sugar, for example. Most people aren't aware that they have way too much sugar in their diet, and all these things that they're so used to experiencing and feeling aren't natural, and they don't have to feel that way.
Yeah.
until it's taken away from their diet. And they're like, wait a second, you mean I don't need a cup of coffee to get myself going in the morning?
It's very weird with how well the body can assimilate things in, even if it's not helpful.
Yeah.
But, when we cleaned up our diet years ago, every once in a while you go off course and you're like, oh God, what did I do to myself? What, like now I'm so much more sensitive and it's horrible. Yeah. It's like, I should have just kept eating the Big Macs. And it's like, no, that would have killed you.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. That's so funny because I don't typically eat meat. I grew up vegetarian. So, I mean, I'm not saying I won't, and I would never call myself a vegetarian or anything like that, because if I want to eat something, I'm going to eat it. I don't typically. And the other day I was like, you know what? I feel like a hamburger. And my husband loves In-N-Out. So I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's go to In-N-Out. He was weirded out by the fact that I was about to eat a hamburger. Not only was I almost instantly sick after that, it didn't taste the way I remember it.
Yeah. It's very interesting. Even like, my wife and I'll go like, hey, remember those, like whatever the chips were? And we'll go get one of those. And it's like, God, I used to love these.
I know.
Not so much anymore. It tastes different.
It does.
And maybe it changed. It's been 20 something years or something like that. Or maybe just the things that are now alive in and on me are not craving those things anymore.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just fascinating to me.
And to have an intervention like cupping, where what are we doing? We're just working with the system. We're not adding anything to it.
Exactly.
We're just getting things to move differently.
I love that. All right. On that note, we do need to go to our last commercial break. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. We're going to talk about some other alternative, I hate that term. Different ways to help yourself that don't involve, medicine. So we'll be back in just a minute. Welcome back, everyone. Once again, I'm Julianne Meyer. You are watching Own Your Wellness, and today's awesome, amazing guest, Dr. Tom Ingegno. Welcome back to the show. So happy to have you here. We kind of touched a little bit about Charm City Integrative, but what kind of, and the fact that you have all sorts of different modalities that are available, what are some of your favorites that you offer in-house?
So, you know what? And it's funny that we're talking about home services, because this happens about once a week where somebody will ask me, like, can I get one of these for home? And a lot of the devices, a lot of the things that we have in our office are slowly becoming, consumer friendly. right? So you can't see it, and I'm not going to show you my dirty room. But I have a pop-up portable sauna here. Now, yes, I would love you to come to our office and use ours. But if you have the time and the space, I literally told one friend, and she texts me once a week going, I have another friend that bought one. I have another friend that bought one. I have another friend that bought one. I'm like, send them to my office. This is not a good business decision. But within that, sauna has some of the best research when we're talking about long-standing therapies, right? Thousands of years with in the Nordic countries and in Europe. But they have a couple of 20-year cohort studies where they looked at longevity and the health of people that frequently use saunas. If you're using a sauna, and it doesn't have to be long, you just have to break a sweat, but you're using it 5 to 7 times a week, you reduce all-cause mortality. That is, the reasons you're most likely to die goes down by 40%. That's going to be cardiovascular diseases. That's going to be cancers. That's going to be, strokes, heart attacks, all of those things. Just by getting your blood moving, the sauna acts as an exercise mimetic, specifically cardiovascular exercise. So yeah, you might hate running. Maybe you blew out a knee. Get yourself a sauna.
I like that. There's definitely a different way of getting the same benefit from a different. Yeah, I love that. So I guess my question then is there a difference between what you're talking about versus like going to 24-hour fitness and sitting in like a...
No, so not really. Even red light machines, right? We have a custom made booth that people get to lie down on. I'm really proud of it. It works really well. People really love it. But even those red light units, they're coming down in price. And with those, you just have to make sure you have the right frequency, the right intensity of the light, and you're using it at the right distance. But if we go on Amazon right now, we'll probably find, maybe a few hundred, maybe half of them aren't great, but some of them are going to be in that sweet spot of like cost effective and actually work.
Wow.
It's not something that I'm shying away from, because I know people will always want to come in and use ours. But once again, being of service, we've talked about this a lot. I can't say that anything I do is proprietary. The way we put our services together into stacks is unique. You certainly can't do that in your house if you don't have a cryo machine in this, and you can't jump from one thing to the other. But as we're seeing technology become cheaper and cheaper and more things enter the market, this is really a great time to start your home healthcare journey. There's so many blood tests that you can order, and you get a box and you prick your finger and send it in. And that's kind of maybe scary for the brick and mortar type practice, but there'll always be a need for this. But to give you power, to empower the patient is so amazing. And to know you're doing something that has science and evidence behind it. I don't know why we shun science these days. It's very counterproductive. But within that, when we lean into that, we embrace that technology and these advancements, we get better outcomes.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And you bring up a really good point too. Yes, all of these things are technically available, but I'm going to talk about me for a second. It wouldn't matter if I had $1 billion and all the space to have everything at home. I would still rather go into your offices and experience it there, pay whatever, and then go home. Like that's just.
and honestly, we are trying to price ourselves where like we can function. I can pay the staff, the lights stay on, all those things, but we're not trying to gouge. And we want to be, and I've said this a bunch too, of value to people.
Yeah. Exactly.
Come in for the experience. They come in for the expertise. And some of them do go like, look, I'm not going to do this here because the gym I go to, Planet Fitness has a sauna. Yeah. Use Planet Fitness. Why? It's hot, right? Yeah, then it works. Better or worse? No. It's heat is heat. It's a red light. Yes, if you're in this frequency, that's red light. I can't claim that it's better or worse than another product. It's just it's here or there. So I got the sauna folded up over here. I've got the red light over there. And then I've got within arm's reach about 15 different meditation devices and things like that. But this is the weird room where I sit down and do work and play with toys. So hopefully to be able to better inform patients.
Yeah. I think that's I think it's fun, and I'm so glad that you are not done learning. You're not done figuring out what your next move is, because, it's kind of like the horse and buggy versus the car. At some point, what you're doing, the way it is now, is going to need to evolve.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I mean, if you read any like business books, like disruptors,
Mm-hmm.
like it's not what you see coming, right? It's not that somebody out rented videos from Blockbuster, right?
Yeah.
Netflix was like, you know what? We're going to ship them to you. You know what? We're just going to stream them. And Blockbuster was like, what? Yeah. So this is where we see those things happening. And when you're not aware that change happens, and we're in a world, like I do a podcast with a buddy of mine, half the damn time, it's all on health. We're talking about AI. We don't even know the impact that that's going to have yet, but we're starting to see glimpses.
Yeah.
And, within 6 months, AI is like, now people are like, I could have wrote this whole damn book in AI.
Yeah.
Wow, what is that going to mean in 5 years?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I can take a guess and I'll be wrong.
Very true. No, and it's funny too, because I work in technology, media. I work in that, and I'm still resistant to things. I still think of myself as not being good at certain stuff, which is absolutely fascinating, because ask my husband, he's like, no, just talk to my wife. She's the one. If we have somebody coming in for cable or anything, they automatically speak to him. He's like, not me, her. And I always know. That's the funny thing. I always know, but it's interesting how resistant we can be to that change. The change is going to come whether or not you appreciate it.
And you can be that doomsday where it's all going to fall apart and be horrible.
Yeah.
But like for me, at least, there's like this glimmer of hope here where, like, even if something does go wrong, I feel like it's moving so quickly that there'll be a correction for it.
Exactly.
There'll be something to come back. And, I'm mentioning AI, but like really, we're all trying to figure out what's best for our health. Imagine having a database of like everybody that's done everything. And then I can say, here's who I am. Here's my makeup. Here's my genes. Here's the bacteria that live in my gut. Here's what should I be doing? And getting an answer that has billions and billions of complex computations going behind it. And it gets better and better. So, yeah, do you want to jump in a self-driving car and just blindfold yourself? Probably not just yet.
Yeah.
But at some point that's going to happen too.
Yeah.
But this is happening exponentially faster now. So that's why there's even more home devices out, because the technology is getting quicker. We're moving faster with research. So it's not, that the research is bad or it's going too quick. It's that we have the ability to process this quick. So let's lean into that. Cautiously lean into it, but lean into it.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we have 2 minutes left. So what are some final thoughts that you would like to share in those 2 minutes?
Of course, I'd say I'd love everybody to go out and get my book. Thecuppingbook.com is we own that too. Our website's there. That QR code will take you right to Amazon where you can buy it. Pick up a set of good quality cups, read the book, see which type you like. They're relatively inexpensive, and for under $50, you can learn how to do cupping with the supplies.
I like that too, because then it's a lot less expensive than a copay, and you're not hurting yourself,
And you can help other people in your family, your friends. You can treat your network.
Yeah, exactly. Educate yourself, people. I love that. And then also, I just want to pop this up again too, for those old fashioned people such as myself who like a good old fashioned website. I don't know what it is about websites, but I still like to type it in. However, yours is a little hard to.
Yeah, integrative is hangs people up quite a bit, myself included. We do a lot of great stuff there. I'm constantly looking to speak. I'm so happy you've had me on. This has been terrific. Both experiences have been just fun. But I'm always looking to speak, promote the book, talk about healthcare, share what I know, because I want people using these things. I want to put health back in the hands of people and serve a bigger community than my current one.
Exactly. No, I love that. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being here today. I absolutely loved having you here. Every time is always a pleasure. And for those of you who want to see again, here's the cupping book. It is a fantastic read. Definitely, at least then you have an idea, right? Like you have an idea of what to expect. And like if it's something you want to try, it's a lot less expensive and a lot less harmful. Anyway, that is all the time that we have for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. We will be back again next Thursday. Until then, enjoy the rest of your week. We'll try this again. Sorry, everyone.